when I came into this program, my mind was totally blown. It was just totally blown from the historical context, from the theoretical frameworks. It was just amazing, and it gave me more of a sense of like why I'm so invested in this work, why I do this work, and and because I'm coming from a social work perspective, one of the ways that I'm really looking to use, and I'm a black woman, so I'll just put that out there just in case you didn't know that. So one of the things I'm passionate about are racial healing circles. So in the Center for Restorative Justice, I'm also a graduate assistant, and I'm for my apprenticeship portion, which is a leadership focus for me. I'm doing an initiative around RJ and bias or anti-bias. And is it okay for us to say the name of it, or how
Well,
much
you
do you
made it.
want me to share?
You made it up, and you're proud of it. So yeah.
Okay, so I developed something. It's an equity framework, and it's called Heal Humanity Now. And HEAL is an acronym. So H stands for honor the power of every voice. So that's really focusing on collaboration and the circle process and really promoting that. The E stands for equity focused practices. So that would be something looking at policies and procedures and research and findings and offering things like that to disseminate to the masses, right? And the A stands for anti-bias outcomes. So like what does that look like? It's not reading a book, it's actually doing some active work so we can see the result, right? The byproduct of it. And then the L stands for leadership. So the goal with that part is really to be able to offer access for training and leadership in RJ practices for persons who are from marginalized communities, persons who otherwise wouldn't have access. And most likely, I'll just say it, they're persons that look like me. So I really appreciate this process and this program for putting that out there so we can level the playing field, because that's what, and Gwen spoke to that earlier. Some people don't think that restorative justice is doing like anti-bias work or anti-racism work, but it really is. Because when you come into the program and you understand the foundation of how the criminal system was started and how it was, carried on in different, Jim Crow laws, you learn all of these things inside the program. Then you understand that if we're trying to dismantle the school to prison pipeline, we're doing anti racism work.
Um, so I had been exposed to restorative justice in my previous work within the residence life system, and we used it to build community, to mediate roommate conflicts when there is tensions um, on staffs, and as a communication model of learning sometimes in our staffs. But the program through the certificate just opened my eyes to how little I knew about restorative justice from those initial trainings, and just really helped me understand a much stronger and gain a much stronger foundation. Um, and so I've really appreciated the certificate program for that reason. Um, I think that restorative justice is a way to practice leadership. So see it very much in line with the leadership program. I'm so grateful that it's approved to be credits too for our electives within the program too. So the certificate isn't on top of our coursework. I don't know if, what that looks like for some of the other programs. So someone else might need to speak to that, but it counts for the electives in the PhD leadership program. And I've been integrating restorative justice into my work. So I work with students who are taking leave of absences. And so we started to do some community circles to help reintegrate students who took a leave of absence. So kind of some community building, helping them reintegrate into the university community. With COVID, we had the highest amount of students take a leave ever in the history of recorded data at USD. And so had a lot more students returning to a campus that looked very different than when they left. And so trying to help them reconcile, make meaning of what their experience in school might look like if they have been away from the university through the transition of COVID or through the start of COVID as well. So, been using it in some neat ways to build community and support students as well. So I'm really grateful for the program. It opened my eyes. Trying to create some new practices within the university, which has been rewarding. And it's been neat to see some of the things that we had no idea were concerns evolve out of the circle spaces too.
So, initially, what got me interested in restorative justice was during my undergraduate. I did an internship with the Tariq Kamisa Foundation, which works with at risk students that are dealing with disciplinary issues. And at the same time, was also a student worker at the DA's office at the juvenile division. So I could really see this disconnect and lack of community engagement and lack of diversion programs in our office. And I am now a legal assistant there, but really just trying to integrate more restorative justice practices, more community engagement, and really building trust with different law enforcement agencies and disenfranchised communities through community circles. And in the master's program, it actually is credited for the Croc School. I know this year we were really battling with the assistant dean, just because restorative justice is tied in with peace justice. So it really just made sense to have those classes count towards our master's degree program. And I was just really seeing a disconnect during my master's degree program, more so was more focused on international work and was really wanting to do more local work and seeing what was missing in San Diego and our community as a whole.
But people are coming at the restorative justice work from so many different lenses and experiences and contexts that I've just really appreciated learning from everyone who's incorporating restorative practices into their lives in different ways. And I think that's been a really unique aspect of enriching our understandings of restorative practice as a whole.
The last portion of our restorative justice apprenticeship, we do work with coaches who are already in the field, deep in restorative justice work, and gain more understanding on the implementation process, the policy process, and more practice becoming a facilitator and getting to experience that hands on if that's something that I've never really been able to experience. And I think that's something I've really taken away from, just because at the DA's office, there's so many stakeholders and barriers, really, just in any government agency. So, understanding how to work within those boundaries and push through that has been really beneficial.
I'm a graduate assistant at the Center for Restorative Justice, so I already had the platform, if you will, to use it as an incubator, if you will. And not only that, for me, it was important to do something at the center because one of the reasons why I chose USD, and I'll say it again because I keep saying it, is because of Dr. David Carr. And I can imagine that's one of the reasons why Stefan is coming all the way from Brooklyn to USD as well. And it's because of the research that he's done, and I really can benefit from even being mentored at a different level because I'm a graduate assistant. So it just made sense to do my leadership portion at the center so I can get like direct supervision. And although I do have the coach that Naima spoke of, it's still important to me that the person who, one of the reasons why I came is the one who's like really helping me walk through that process. and giving me guidance along the way. So
I came in with this like really elaborate plan to go do things outside of my like sphere of influence. So I grew up in Colorado, and Colorado has some really cool restorative justice initiatives. And David challenged me to think of something that was more sustainable than traveling to Colorado occasionally to do something. And so I have landed on integrating restorative practices into my work, because then I could really practice the leadership in it. Build it. I had experience facilitating circles and community building in response to harms caused, et cetera. And so why not lean into the leadership and further development beyond facilitation, to create something within my workspace, and create some structures to integrate it so that it wouldn't die with me ending an internship or a short term uh, relationship with an organization. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but David could see where I was at in my skills and helped me push myself to do something that would help me grow as a practitioner too. So it's easy. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like I'm doing a practicum or an apprenticeship on top of my work because I'm integrating it into my workspace. And so it's sustainable for me as a student who's also a full-time employee and full-time student. But then it really gives back to the community that I'm immersed in, instead of going into a community that I might be an outsider in as well. So I've really appreciated that integration for me.
I think for my my apprenticeship, my biggest goal was trying to um, be able to implement, and what Sabrina was saying as well, like not let what I was working on during my apprenticeship just die there or just be finished off there. And I'm currently attempting and doing research in working on restorative justice practices, but in the adult system at the DA's office, and what policies need to be put in place, and also working with different nonprofit organizations that do restorative justice in San Diego and in the community. But I really think that the apprenticeship is just tailored to what your goal is for restorative justice, where you want to take it. It's very open ended, but in the best way possible. You really just follow what you want to do and keep building off of it and doing more research, and I guess figuring out at the end like what your final goal is in restorative justice.
I'll say that some students in the program are very clear about what their intentions are, and others have no idea, right? They're just like, I don't know, And so we have helped identify organizations in San Diego that some students have become actively involved in off campus. Others have really taken on the challenge of doing something on campus, either whether it's in the office that they happen to already work in, or more broadly, um, some initiative beyond. Yes, we do we're trying not to frame this as an internship placement that kind of is time limited, you come and you go, and rather an apprenticeship that helps develop the skills and put into practice the skills that are learned in the second course. And so we're trying to balance the practice the skills, become a facilitator, become more confident as a facilitator, with the leadership component, which is really about setting a goal. What is it that we're trying to accomplish? Develop a program, see how far we can get. And our vision of leadership is very collaborative. So it means who can you work with? Who can you pull in? What team can you create? Who can support the effort? And so I think people are doing it in very different ways.